This is the solution video for number 33, part C from the Unit 7 review. All right, so it says the second derivative of g is not defined at x equals 1 and x equals 2. How many of these values are x coordinates of points of inflection of g? Justify your answer. All right, so first of all, we have to remember, all right, that since g prime is f, what we figured out in part B, according to the second fundamental theorem of calculus, then what does that mean about g double prime? Well, g double prime of x, very simple. If g prime is f, then g double prime is f prime, right? Just the derivative of f. And so what does that mean? That means that g double prime is the derivative of this graph, right? And so why is the second derivative not defined at x equals 1 and x equals 2? Well, at x equals 1, there is a corner point, and at x equals 2, there is a corner point as well. So it is true that g is the second derivative of g is not defined, all right? But what constitutes a point of inflection? All right, so let's recall, let's write down this definition. All right, so g has a point of inflection when g double prime changes signs. All right, and so it's important to note, okay, g double prime has to change signs, but g double prime does not necessarily need to be defined. All right, so you can see that since g double prime is f prime, the slope of this graph, all right, g double prime would be positive from -2 to 1, then negative from 1 to 2, undefined at 2, but then negative again from 2 to 4. So when does g double prime change signs? Well, at x equals 1. All right. And so we want to make sure we answer the question. It says, how many of these values, right, x equals 1 and x equals 2, are x coordinates of points of inflection, right? And so we want to answer the question. And so we would say that one of those values are x values of points of inflection. Now, specifically, you would say x equals 1 is a location of a point of inflection on the graph of g because g double prime changes signs at x equals 1. All right, so that is part C.